I'm hoping the powers that be are seeing what Minneapolis did, and we can emulate that. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to say here is that someone already did it, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and we can pick stuff that we can emulate, so we can start incorporating it, right?
Yep.
We're doing that already with the rezoning because I'm hearing that in my industry talked about a lot, rezoning.
Yeah.
So that's one positive chain, but the other two, the community land trust and the unlocking of strategically located land, I haven't heard talked about enough.
What is up, everybody, and happy Thursday. We have Omar Pineda here with EXP Real Estate, and we are here today to talk about affordability.
Happy to be here. Happy to talk about this because I've been trying to figure out what we could do to help here in Austin with inflation and housing affordability.
That's right. I know. Housing affordability. I mean, think about it. Right now, the demand for housing has been increasing, even though we have these high rates. Everybody talks about these rates. And again, I'm a mortgage lender, VA loan specialist, Omar's real estate agent here in the Austin area, Cedar Park, Leander.
I came across Minneapolis. Minneapolis is something that we can definitely take notes from because they figured out a way to bring their inflation down under 2%. That's happening right now.
Under 2%.
Right.
For housing.
Just in
Just in
general,
general.
for their cost
Okay.
of goods and services, right?
I want to hear more about that. Now, let me back up a little bit. Let's back up a little bit because I really want to address this and get a solid feel of the interest rates and the effects it has on demand. Because you mentioned inflation, so because inflation is up, the Federal Reserve is pumping the brakes on the economy by raising the Fed funds rate, which is a little bit different than the actual mortgage interest rate. So we would expect inflation to go down at this point, especially with housing. And we're not seeing that decline in housing, not the way we're supposed to see it, right? So what do you think is causing the demand to still go up, which is causing this issue with affordability, which is why I want to circle back, because let's get back to the root cause, right? Not just a symptom, like you said. Now we have an issue with affordability. So why?
Inflation, right?
Okay,
So,
inflation.
but what does that mean? Because I see that word get thrown out a lot,
Right,
right? And how does that relate to housing affordability?
right. So let's break that part down.
Okay.
So if it's inflation,
So if everything is going up, groceries, gas, just in life in general, people are going to save less to be able to afford a home purchase.
right,
The median income has not kept pace with the rate of inflation,
right,
right? So we're not getting paid enough to keep up with how expensive stuff is getting, especially in the last couple of years.
right.
A big part of that is rent or your
Rents are
home
going up.
and cars, right? Those are like the two biggest expenses people have in
Yeah.
the very beginning. If
Yeah.
you look at cars and how much a monthly payment is nowadays,
Oh my
that
God!
is-
You know what? It's funny you say that. I just read an article. It's $650 or $654 is the average nationwide. The average
that's a little bit
monthly
lower
payment.
than I would have thought. I thought it would have been 1,000.
Well, no, because a lot of the smarter, sensible.
But you said
No
national
offense.
average?
National
Okay.
average.
That
I'm
makes
like,
sense.
no offense. Don't mean to offend anybody, but the more sensible, financially sensible people are buying a car where their car payment is about $350 a month instead of the $1,200 lifted 4x4 diesel truck, which we love. I mean, I have a truck, but it's paid for, and it's not a diesel. It's just a 1,500. I mean, you don't need much more, right? Here in Texas, in Texas, you do need a pickup truck, at least. Anyways, getting back to this inflation thing.
Yeah.
So those are the two largest expenses, some of the largest expenses, right? Aside from student loan, which is a whole different, we are not even going to get into it. But again, you got your housing that it continues to go up, rent and a mortgage payment are going up. So why is there still an issue with supply? Why is there still multiple offers on each home? Why is it still a seller's market? I guess that's where I'm trying to get to, Omar. Tell me, enlighten me.
Well, let's be a little specific here, because I know real estate's hyper local. Now, when you said multiple offer situation and demand staying the same, if not increasing, you're specifically talking about
Austin.
Austin
Austin, the
or California?
Austin proper. Well, California, we know. I don't even
Yeah.
want to get into that because California, you got 20, 30 offers on each home, and it's selling $200,000, $300,000 over asking. So no, I'm talking about the Austin area and Austin proper. You know, if we talk about Leander, we talk about Georgetown and Liberty Hill. It's super hyper local. It may be a little softer, but still a seller's market. People think it's a buyer's market, but it's still what I see. The inventory the inventory supply is still pretty low. It still signifies that it's a buyer's market.
Well, we're in an interesting time because everybody who bought when interest rates were super low or refinanced, now you have this pool of people that is going to take like moving heaven on earth for them to move, right? Because they do not want to leave that interest rate.
That is such a good point.
That's a big part of it too.
That's right.
Now, granted, people, get married or they have children, they need to move regardless, right? But now I think when they're looking at the pros and cons, this is my prediction, is that instead of looking to buy up and buy a bigger house, they're going to be like, do we have enough space to maybe live in the current house now and then add to it? Add a home renovation, add another room or an ADU, right? Especially because I know in Austin, ADUs are favorable, so they're easier to kind of get permitting for, because that's a part of the rezoning, which we're going to get into as far as housing affordability.
So those are the solutions to...
Those are one of the solutions. The rezoning has been something that I've been seeing a lot lately in Austin. That currently, right now, it's sitting at the city manager's desk, because it's been proposed to do the rezoning law change, right? So I don't know the specifics on the exact numbers, but pretty much where a single family lot used to be, it's going to be rezoned so multifamily lots can be in its place.
Oh my God, what effects is that going to have on the infrastructure? Traffic.
So
that's the first thing that came to mind.
So I thought about that too, because we're both from California, so we know what it feels like to have that population density. I was thinking about traffic. I was thinking about the public, like the utilities, right? Like waste management, plumbing, all that needs to be calculated in, right? And I wouldn't want to be in the city manager's position right now, because that's I wonder how they figure that out. I would want to see how that kind of, the rhyme and reason for that, but that is on the debt. That's what's being proposed. I think it's having enough traction, because I know ABOR and a lot of like the city mayor is behind that. So I think it's just now a challenge of like, how do you execute that?
Hey, Omar, ABOR, what is that? Because from the lender's perspective, what's ABOR?
ABOR stands for the Austin Board of Realtors.
Got it. Okay, so it's a group. Okay, I know what that is.
Yeah.
So, wow. So more traffic with these. Okay. No, let's finish talking about why the demand is there though. And I'm talking about Austin, because we got to focus on just Austin, because that's the main city around here. What's driving this? I mean, I know new jobs.
The demand is not as what it used to be now. That's not what I'm seeing, right? I only see multiple offers here in Austin if the house is priced correctly.
Right.
For the most part, people aren't pricing it correctly. I think it's still very hard for sellers to kind of wrap their mind around these interest rates and how much it affects buyers' purchasing power, right? Because I'm starting to see days on market last longer.
By longer, what is that? What does that look like?
So like during the pandemic, right? 30 years, 30 days or less. That was fast.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's what
10 days. 5 days.
10 days, yep. I was even seeing it within the first week, the first 48 hours, right?
Yep.
It was getting gobbled up. Now we're starting to see it more normal conditions where it's 60 days plus.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, because we're in Austin, builder confidence is positive, meaning that all the new construction happening, builders have confidence that if they continue to build here, that the demand's going to be there, right? So I say that because we're starting to see an upward trend of housing inventory, right? Positively the past couple months,
Okay.
since the beginning of this year, actually, which is almost the opposite of what it is nationally. And nationally, we're speaking, they're hurting for inventory, right? Because you have builders, developers have to feel confident that if they're going to invest, they're going to, the demand's going to be there, and they're going to get, they're going to make their profit. So in Austin, it's high confidence here. So that's where we're seeing that increase in inventory. We're going to continue to see it.
Well, it's interesting you say that. Builders, you bring up builders. That's the pressure relief valve because they can continue to build. And Texas being flat, they can continue to go east, right? East and northeast, and then down to San Antonio. I mean, it's unlimited.
That was talked about, and it kind of just blew my mind. I went to like an economic forum, and the city mayor was there, and he was addressing. That was one of the pain points, like the bottlenecks of developers and new construction here in Austin. So if you look at it from when they go and to the city to apply for permitting for any of these developments, the turnaround time is 24 months.
That's in Austin.
In Austin.
Right.
24 months.
That's insane.
Okay. So he said something like, and forgive me, like these are ballpark numbers because it was a few weeks ago, but 24 months, it goes through like 20 different departments, so 20 different hands before it gets approved. So there's a bottleneck there, there's inefficiencies there. But he's telling me all this, so he understands the issue, and they're trying to fix that. They're trying to cut that in half, right? So permitting is not the holdup to develop that way, because even if it gets approved, it still takes, I've seen anywhere when I talk to builders like 9 months to a year when they break ground and when they're done to even get the keys.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah.
That's bad. So do you think that is limiting? Yeah, obviously, clearly that's going to limit
It's
inventory.
definitely a constraint. It's a constraint for sure.
Yeah. So right now I was reading an article just earlier this week. We have more 33, 34, 35, 36, 37-year-olds that are looking to start a family, looking to get married. And what do they need? They need housing.
You read that recently?
Yeah. Again, yeah. It was just another article. I've been watching this trend for about 3-4 years already, where you have the largest two demographics in U.S. history, which is the millennials, which are 33. They're turning 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. And then you have baby boomers, which are living a lot longer and need their houses. So those are the two largest demographics in U.S. history. So there's a shortage of housing.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm seeing the opposite for millennials, that we're not having kids and we're not getting married. More and more men are single because of inflation, because of student loans, because of this kind of, when they post-college life, they've been playing catch-up.
Yep.
They're putting off life events like getting married, having children. So I'm seeing I'm reading the opposite of and homeownership's not even in their radar because they're like, how can I afford, or even get into a relationship, right? Because how can I even, I have personal friends I speak to this, like, that I keep in touch with, my age, I'm 36, right? That they are not even, they're single, like me, that don't have any intention of getting married anytime soon, if at all, because, like, I don't have a home.
Yeah.
They're thinking of it, that's just like the practical sense of it. It's like, I don't have a home. How can I possibly imagine, and they're not in a job right now where they're making enough to even be on track, right?
Yep. Oh man, you know what I would do if I was your age and single?
Uh-huh.
I would start looking for my target. My target audience would be successful 33 to 36-year-old women
Mm-hmm.
to start dating, because if they're
Uh-huh.
successful,
Yeah.
financially they're stable.
Yeah.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I have to, I'm sure women would agree.
Yeah.
There's a biological clock, and they're like, okay, either I'm going to start, either I want a baby now, or I choose not to because I may not be able to.
Mm-hmm.
So I just gave you the secret code, Omar.
There,
There it
there's an
is.
untapped market there. I'm gonna keep that in mind.
So, because come on, they're the ones that are going to push. Women are going to be the ones that are going to push for the house,
Yeah.
the nest, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I got 2 kids. My wife and I, we were about 30, 32 years old
Yeah.
when we got married and we started a family. She was the one pushing for, the nest, so to speak. I've been working from home for a pretty long time, and some of my neighbors,
Yeah.
they were stay-at-home dads. It was the best. Like,
Yeah.
they'd come over in the middle of the day. We'd go out to the front. Sometimes we'd go play golf. The kids would, they would hang out. I mean, they were older kids now
Yeah.
by then, but
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. And then one day, one of my buddies, stay-at-home dad, had to go back to work, and I was kind of sad. I'm like, damn. Anyways, that's another story. Now, I know you're talking. Okay, so we know that millennials are impacting demand because there's not enough supply. We know that baby boomers, because they're living longer, they need their home, they need their housing, and with all these tax benefits, this homestead and all, they can't afford to move, because the moment they move, they lose that. A lot of times they lose that tax.
Right.
The
Homestead.
homestead tax protection. So they're kind of locked into their homes. So they're not going to move. So the supply is stagnant. Now, what do you think is going to happen when rates drop? Let me rephrase that. What do you think is going to happen to affordability when the rates drop? The interest rates, the mortgage interest rates drop.
Well, when the rates drop, more buyers are going to enter the market.
So more demand.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to see a rise in housing.
In housing.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So then
it'll be a repeat of the
Right.
pandemic, but if we're just speaking Austin here, we're going to hopefully have enough inventory, enough supply at that time, right? Because that's kind of the whole point. Right? Make the rates expensive, make borrowing money expensive, because we need to kind of play catch up with housing inventory.
Yeah.
Right. So hopefully, if we have a good enough inventory and we have rates that come down, so more buyers can enter the market, that'll be some type of equilibrium, right?
Right. Well, let me throw another curveball at you.
Mm-hmm.
When interest rates drop, besides first-time home buyers, who else is interested in buying?
Yeah. Repeat. First, second, third time home buyer.
Investors,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're going to start gobbling those properties. So now you're competing with investors. As a first-time home buyer, you're competing with investors. You're competing with other buyers, and maybe even institutional investors that go out and buy blocks. They've bought like BlackRock has bought communities at a time. And then what they do is rent them, and then they control the rent.
Oh, I'd love to argue the counterpoint for that and why I think that's a good thing and why they should do that, because they're going to fail miserably. But I really want to kind of put a pause on what we're saying, because I really want to turn this conversation to what Minneapolis is doing.
Right. Okay. So we know the price. Well, once the rates drop, prices are going to go up.
Yeah.
Affordability is going to go through the floor. I was going to say through the roof. Affordability is going to tank. So what is Minneapolis doing to counter that?
So when I came across the article, Minneapolis, they have been doing the right things where now their inflation has come down under 2%.
That's right.
Right. So reading the article, how did they do it? And it's super simple, affordable housing.
Okay.
Right? So this has been on their radar. They've had this agenda since 2018 to create affordable housing for their city. Now, what made it very successful was that they had everybody involved, from the private sector, public sector, and nonprofits. So it was a joint effort of them coming together and figuring out how to implement. And they had this strategy, and they released this report. It was called the Housing Innovation Report.
Okay.
Right? And I took a look at that, and it pretty much broke down to 3 key strategies on how they executed this and were successful. And now they have affordable housing. Now they've been able to control their inflation. Now it's under the national average. I think nationally we're like a little bit over 2%, maybe even closer to 3%, but they're at under 2%. Under. So number 1 was unlocking strategically located land.
What does that mean? That sounds very
Great question.
complex. You're all strategically located land. What does that mean?
That simply
Break it down.
translates to just land that's near transit hubs. So think public transportation.
So this is all public land owned by the county, city,
if it
state.
is, well, remember eminent domain, they can make it public if they want to, but
Damn. No.
it's just creating an infrastructure, right? A plan to develop land with having either condos or townhomes or just, multi housing near transit hubs,
Right.
right? Employment centers or other essential services, because their big thing is just cutting that commute time. So having housing closer to where people work to cut that commute time.
Okay.
So that's strategically located land. Why is this important? This makes housing more accessible and reduces the need for long commutes, thereby improving quality of life. So how is this done? Public-private partnerships,
Okay. So you,
land banking, government incentives to encourage the sale or lease of such lands for affordable housing.
I don't know if you ever watched the movie Up. It's a cartoon.
Yeah, the Pixar movie?
The Pixar movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Why am I thinking of that?
I don't know.
Because you're going to have that one person that is not going to want to sell.
Uh-huh.
And then they're going to build around it.
Oh, okay. Now I see where you connect the dots.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
But the overall good, for the overall good, I guess it's...
Well, here's the beautiful part.
great.
Because Austin's still young enough where we don't have to probably do that, hopefully that eminent domain stuff or overtake some private land for public good, because we're still young enough, we're still small enough where we can build now with that in mind. Because we still, like to your point, we have a lot of land. There's a lot of opportunity here. So, private money, so money can be invested here so we can build stuff out. It's just understanding a strategy and having that in mind, right? So so Minneapolis knew that, or and they thought of it, and that's something they kept in mind as they were kind of rolling this stuff out.
That's very interesting. So what's the next?
Promoting community land trusts.
Let me see one more time. What the hell is that?
Community land trusts.
All right. What is that?
Okay. So
Again,
what does that mean?
That gets so complex.
I know. These
community land trust.
all this stuff that I'm talking about, I had not heard of yet. I don't hear it talked about enough on social media or just on the news, because this was all news. This was brand new terms to me.
It's freaking boring stuff, right?
I don't think. Well, maybe when you get into the weeds, it might be boring. But inflation and affordable housing, I don't think those are boring topics.
Well, for the average person, I mean, I love this.
Yeah.
I love this. You love it. That's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
But for the average person, as soon as you say community land trust, oh my God, it's like, here, read this IRS publication. What the or an MLO or an what is it called? Oh my God, I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
What is it? What was our Marine Corps University?
JJ did tell you buckle?
No. The Marine Corps University.
MCIs.
MCIs.
Yeah.
Marine Corps Institute.
Yeah. Freaking MCIs.
I hated those. And they were all formatted with the ELO, MLO, primary, whatever objective. And it was like, oh, this is painful. I hate this. But I always had all mine. And
I like how they said, if you do all, the more you do, the more you'll be able to transfer, to get college credit. I remember
hell
I did
no.
like 30 or 40 or 50 of those suckers.
You
and
would.
I maybe got 2 or 3 credits from it. And I was like, what the heck was the point of that then? Wasted my time. Seriously.
Hey, you would do like 50 of them. You had them all.
No,
You were a master's degree in MC,
I mean,
at
if
MCI.
you really know me, I don't like school.
I know.
I have, especially in topics that I have no interest in. And there's a lot of MCI ones that I had no interest in. But I was looking at the outcome, right, of like, promotion and like college credit. But it is what it is.
But see, did you pass all your MCIs or
Yeah.
did you?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good. So you're an expert in radio communication, 5G.
If I ever was, it would have been back then. This is too much time has passed. I'm straight up first civ div. So, but let's go back to community land trust.
Oh, I know, man. I'm sorry.
You asked me what is that, and it's super simple.
ADD.
It's super simple. It's just a non-profit organization that owns the land.
So why don't they call it that?
It's if you.
Is that what a land trust is?
That's a land trust. I mean, if you just take out the community part and it's just a land trust, it's a trust, right? So someone has to own it. So instead of it being owned by a private enterprise, it's owned by the community, a nonprofit.
Hey, the word trust, it's supposed to invoke trust, but it does the opposite in these cases.
And it's all about the context, right?
Community land trust.
Words can mean different things to different people, but it's the context. It's everything. So a nonprofit organization that holds land in trust for the benefit of the community.
So who picks the nonprofit?
I don't know.
Yeah, right? Who
know.
creates? Is it?
I'm sure there's nonprofits that specifically were created for this. I'm going to get into a few because I actually did.
Okay.
I went down a rabbit hole and I found 2 community land trusts here in Austin.
Okay.
So,
well, let's finish up. Let's circle back in a bit to that then. But you said there was a third thing that Minneapolis was doing.
Number 2 was community land trust, right?
Yeah.
And the third one
Still
was,
don't know what it is, but
the third one is zoning changes, implementing zoning changes.
I get that one.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. So what they do in Minneapolis?
So going back to the community land trust, why is that important? Because it serves as a model to ensure long-term housing affordability, and it prevents displacement of low-income residents.
Okay.
Okay, so in a nutshell, well, to make it affordable, the buyer is just buying the home and doesn't own the land. They lease the land for a very, very small fee from the trusts. So they just are paying for the home.
So that's for number 2. That's for the community land trust.
That's like the idea behind this, right?
So you never own the land.
You don't own the land.
Oh, well, what the hell? The whole value is in the land.
Well, think of it from a certain customer segment, right? If these are people that it's very hard for them to, find affordable housing because they don't make a lot of money, right? And not everybody can make 6 figures. Not everybody can make, enough money to afford these things. It's just, you can't. That's unrealistic. But there still has to be housing for them, right? So this is a good solution because some people don't see it like real estate as an investment vehicle. They just see it like, I just want a place to live and not have to worry about everything going up.
Yeah.
So there's 2 community land trusts I found. One's called the Guadalupe Neighborhood Development Corporation.
Oh, damn. You
Okay.
said corporation. That's it. I don't trust it.
Okay, so this is active on the east side of Austin. So think East Austin, they have land out there that's under this trust that's meant for affordable housing. The second one is Austin Community Land Trust. Now, when I looked at that one they're a little bit scattered. There's not one designated location, and it always is evolving. So these 2 land trust, community land trust. We should link it in the description, so that way people can see it, because I think it's really interesting on what they are, and maybe it could be a viable option for you, because this is one of the solutions for affordable housing.
But who's going to build on those, Omar? Like, who would build
Developers, right?
So then that developers can
Yeah,
then...
so they are incentivized to do this through, I'm sure, tax cuts, or I'm sure there's some type of incentive there. I don't remember off the top of my head, but these have been ongoing for a while now, But you've never heard of it, I've never heard of it, so it's this is it's part of bringing awareness.
Right. And then zone changes. Talk to me about that. How does that help?
Okay. So the zoning changes we kind of touched on already, which is just converting one plot of land that a single family home used to sit on, and having that rezoned to multifamily, right? And
so really more inventory drives the prices down.
Yeah. Well, yeah, having more inventory is going to drive the prices down, but also encouraging more development for apartments, condos, for affordable housing, because there's a bunch of high rises going on downtown, but those are all catered for the very
those are
top 1%, 10% of people, right? There's nothing affordable downtown at all, because there's no incentive there for developers to build, which is I'm hoping the powers that be are seeing what Minneapolis did, and we can emulate that. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to say here, is that someone already did it, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and we can pick stuff that we can emulate, so we can start incorporating it, right? Yep. We're doing that already with the rezoning, because I'm hearing that in my industry talked about a lot, rezoning.
Yeah.
So that's one positive chain, but the other two, the community land trust and the unlocking of strategically located land, I haven't heard talked about enough. You feel me?
Yep, I do. Wow, I don't know what to think of this.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest.
It is. So, I mean, I'm in the industry, and it's tough to digest. So, the average buyer,
if you get nothing from this is a main point. I can wrap it up. I can summarize it in one sentence. The way to fight inflation
is called Omar Pineda at EXP Real Estate.
Ooh, Where's the camera? That. There you go. Hey, let's talk about it. It's affordable housing. And who would have thought affordable housing would bring inflation down, and everything else, the cost of goods would go down? Affordable housing, that's everybody can get on that page, right? Because we need it. And if we have it, and the stuff of price, everything that goes down across the board, that's more money in our pocket that we're going to probably spend anyway to keep the cycles of the economy going, right? People spend if they have money to, right? But since people don't have any money to spend, now that's where we're seeing the credit card thing going up, but that's a whole other can of worms.
Oh yeah, everybody's living on credit cards. Yeah. That's another time bomb waiting to blow. But check this out.
Yep.
This is the way I see. This is the way I predict it's going to go down. Rates are going to drop.
Okay? When?
I'm thinking this bomb is about to blow up. We need this bomb to blow up already, because we cannot keep these rates. These rates cannot stay at 5.5%. The Fed funds rate is what I'm talking about, because we're paying interest on that debt. In addition, there's no liquidity. All the money is sucked out of the economy, and the only way to get it back is through lending. That's it. That's the bottom line. Through refinances. Well, the banks right now, unless it's more than 7%, 8%, they don't want to risk their money when they have, and nobody talks about this, there's something called the reverse repo operation, and it's a facility within the Federal Reserve where they provide liquidity to the member banks, the big banks, the Chase, the Wells Fargo's, the Citibanks. So when big banks need to meet their reserve requirement mandated by the federal government, they borrow from each other. They borrow treasuries overnight. They're called overnight repo operations, repurchase agreements. Well, when Bank of America and Wells Fargo and all the banks, they need their securities, their treasuries, their T-bills to, maintain their mandate, to meet their federal mandate, they're not going to, there's like, no way. That's where the Federal Reserve stepped in and said, hey, don't worry. We've been buying these mortgage-backed securities and treasuries since 2008, since 2009. We got plenty of them, even though we've told the public that we're kind of shedding them. We're not doing QE anymore. No, we still have them, pretty much most of them. So here's what we'll do. You're going to give me the money that you need, the money we're going to trade for the security overnight. So from your deposits, you give me the money. I give you the security, the treasury. You meet your government mandate overnight, and we'll swap back the next day. In addition, me as a Federal Reserve, Bank of America, I'm going to pay you 5.5% interest on this swap. Cool? So Federal Reserve is still paying. They're paying even more. There's more QE. It's called stealth QE. Well, that's what I'm calling it.
Is QE
quantitative easing? I call it stealth quantitative easing. It's behind the scenes. It's complicated. I know I probably lost you and other people listening, but it took me a while to understand the reverse repo operation facility, and I'm still learning about it, and it's ridiculous. Like the Federal Reserve's balance sheet is going up because of this. They're just adding zeros. It's just another ledger. They're just adding zeros over here, but the public they don't care to understand this because it's so complex. Just like saying community land trust. That's a mouthful. Anyways, until that changes, the rates are not going to drop. And how much longer do you think that's going to continue? Something's going to give. Something's going to blow. And then they're going to have to do a 180, zero interest rate. I mean, this is history. If you pull the charts, it happens every time.
Everyone is talking about a bubble, right?
There is no bubble, not with this demand.
There is, but the bubble is not residential. It's commercial.
Ooh, that's another deal.
Commercial. That's where the bubble is. Because in a post-pandemic world, we're never going to go back to having people in the office like we did.
Well, what if the government says, hey, Facebook, hey, Google, hey, smaller businesses, if we'll help you, we'll bail you out of that commercial loan, but 90% of your employees need to go back to work.
There's no way the government would overstep for private like that.
Well, then you don't get the bailout. Simple as that.
Well, a lot of them are going to fail, or when their loans, because I think I saw like in the next year or two, their loans are going to be up to either be refinanced or renegotiated, something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's where we're going to start seeing like this, because the reappraisal for these loans is going to be way different.
Yep.
And I'm kind of curious to see how that will unfold. But you could repurpose these things. I'm curious on how you could repurpose like commercial buildings in a city kind of a city environment with residential or affordable housing.
Damn, you just made me think of homelessness.
I've heard that, and I thought about that too. But
Park 55 Hotel in San Francisco. Park 55, here's the keys,
it
bank.
It made sense when we didn't have as powerful as technologies we have now to be concentrated, geographically to work. But now that technology is powerful, we have all these tools to communicate. It makes even more sense now to be more spread out.
Yeah.
So the whole concept of having a downtown city is we're evolving from that. And the pandemic was what triggered it all.
Yeah. Outstanding. Omar, we are running out of time. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. And this is the first of many. Make sure you comment. Let's talk about it. Make sure you
keep the conversation flowing.
Yeah, keep it going. This is just going to be a conversation. Whatever we see in the comments, that's what we're going to talk about.